Hello and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. This month I'm participating in what we call the 31 Days of Tarot. It is a wonderful blog sprint that's hosted by a fellow YouTuber named Ethony. And what it is every day you answer a question about tarot and oracle, and it's just kind of a nice way to discuss the craft and to talk to other tarot and card readers and just see what 2019 had to bring for them and their craft. So today is day 8, and what it is today's question is, what tarot books did you read in 2019? Now, what I have here is, I know you see kind of more than books, and what I have here is there were 2 books that I specifically read in 2019, and then there is an additional book that kind of plays into it. It's more of an Oracle Lenormand side, but I wanted to be sure to include it because it was a book that I really did find a lot of interesting facts about, and that helped me a lot in my practice during the year. Now, the first book, we'll go with the middle because I'll kind of go in sequential order, but the first book was The Understanding Tarot by Liz Dean. And what it is this is just an incredibly good book. I actually saw it at the bookstore, and I liked it so much that I tend to kind of think about a purchase before I make it. But I saw it at the bookstore and I really liked it. And Liz Dean is one of my favorite deck authors. I actually purchased the deck before I purchased the book. And what it is as you look through the book, she gives wonderful descriptions about the different cards. She has some really great insight about the symbology, the symbols in the cards, which I'm all about. What I love is that she really does give really wonderful examples. Like she'll kind of zoom in on the card and she gives some just really wonderful insight about both the meanings and the history. And I learned so much from it. I just thought the symbols were wonderful. And one of my favorite decks, it's either called The Power of Tarot or The Art of Tarot, but it is the deck is actually the same images that you see in the book. So it's the two work very well together, and the book on its own is just really wonderful. It taught me a lot about just the history and the mythology behind a lot of the symbols in the tarot. Now, the second book that I got, and it's a little out of order, but I got the Tarot of Jane Austen. And what this is this book is out of print. It is by Diane Wilkes, who's a wonderful lady. She was actually one of the hosts at my tarot retreat that I attended in October, and it was just so interesting. This book I was very excited to get because I lucked out and I got the vintage cards. Again, this book, I think both the book and the cards came out in the early 2000s. It may not have been the 90s, but let me go ahead and let me be a stickler and look at the publishing date. 2006, which when you think about it, when we're in 2020, that was a little while ago. But what's beautiful about it is that, again, the Jane Austen tarot, and I sew my own bags, so the bag that I use for it is, I tried to go with a pattern that was very similar to the cards. But what it is that the tarot cards pertain to stories of Jane Austen. And what's wonderful is that you can take a card. We got the sun, how beautiful, and like the sun, and you can look up the majors, the minors, but when you pull it up, it gives you the background, and it's interesting because a lot of just about all the stories I can usually guess, but normally if I have to really question a card, I was so lucky. It's funny, there was a few cards that I really couldn't it was pretty clear. I had a good guess as to who the character was, but then when I actually got to speak to the author, and how exciting is that to say, oh, in this card, who was in this card? And she's like, oh, it was that. I was like, oh, I was just mind blown, right? Mind blown. So, but it was just really exciting, and it's a wonderful book. It's wonderfully written, and I'll tell you. Just like I said when I was talking about, if you watch the post on my most anticipated decks, I always feel like if you're going to do a tarot, you really want to do the tarot, if you're going to do it on something that's pop culture, and you can't even I don't know if you can call Jane Austen pop culture, but if you're going to do something on a movie or a book series, if you're going to create a tarot deck on that, I just feel like it's real important to me that you have really good source material. And what's so wonderful about this deck is that I just get such in-depth messages. I get wonderful messages from the tarot in general, but there are times that I just have to pull out my Jane. I'm like, okay, I need this situation through the lens, through the filter of Jane Austen. That would be fun. You know what? Honestly, you know what? We should do that. We should put that on Insta. You should put that on the phones. You should have a Jane Austen filter. You put a bonnet on you, maybe some ribbon, No, I'm kidding. Sorry. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. I'm a little goofy. Now, the last book is not officially a tarot book, but I wanted to give it an honorable mention. It's not even honorable. It is honorable. I'm sorry. See? I always say the stupidest things. I'm sorry, guys. There are moments that things come out of my mouth before they have gone through my brain, but maybe that's a good thing, because maybe that proves it's coming straight from my subconscious. And that's what we deal with here, right? We deal with the subconscious. All right, sorry, guys. But what had happened was, my mom had taken a trip of Europe, and this was a bucket list trip, because she it was she's retired and she wanted to go and visit Europe, and she absolutely loved Ireland and Scotland. Like, she really felt like it was home there. And when she was there, she asked me, is there anything that I can get you? And the funny thing is, I had said that I wanted a Celtic knot. And, kind of like a knot, which I feel like, and I wasn't 100% certain at the time that I had asked her about this, but I always look at the Celtic knot as being like kind of the four corners, like the four elements. And, both in Celtic or I don't know if it's Celtic or Celtic, I always say Celtic, but in Celtic lore and in, Druid priesthood, it was really believed, that the elements, and they studied astrology too, which I thought was so neat. But I always thought it was the four cornerstones or the four elements. So I had said, hey, Mom, can you get me a Celtic knot? Well, when she got there, she wasn't really finding what I had asked for, and instead she brought me back a Celtic Cross. And I was really taken away, because I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. And it's a beautiful cross. But what was neat about it is that right about the time, I was a little bit apprehensive, because I was just like, I was raised of a certain, Christian faith. And, I study astrology. I don't believe that that's a religion. And then, I do tarot, and I do other New Age things. I've studied Tai Chi, and so, to wear the Celtic cross, I was just really curious about the history. I was like, okay, is that more of a Catholic kind of faith to wear that type of cross? And, I know it seems so silly, but I was really just starting to question, would that be something appropriate for me to wear? And, when you think about it, when it's a religious symbol, I always try to really know what I'm talking about. I don't try to, because I study symbols. Symbols are powerful, right? I didn't want to, put something on and it's lovely. I wear it every day. But so my mom, and the funny thing is, right about that time, I had been throwing a lot of cards, and the craziest thing is that I kept throwing cards that had that symbol. And I'm sorry, let me try to. This is the past lives cards, and I'll put the descriptions in the description box. But this is the past life cards, and I kept getting Celtic, and then in my Intuit Oracle, I kept getting Cross, which is, spirituality, divine guidance, being on a journey, like on a spiritual duty, having a spiritual path in life. And I just felt like they were so powerful, and that symbol, those two cards kept coming out, and then it just blew me away that I had asked for a Celtic knot, and my mom brought me back the same symbol, and she has one as well. She actually got one as well. So that's the other thing, is that I'm very close to her, and she has one that she wears, and I wear one, and we're we live in different states now, so it's almost like me connecting to her. But it was kind of weighing on me, because again, I wanted to wear my cross. I didn't want to question it. I wanted to, and I study symbols. So what I did, and believe it or not, I found this at at Goodwill. I was just shopping around, and I found a fantastic book, and this is Celtic Inspirations. It is out of print, but you can still find it, like if you go to some of the bookstores. And I got an extra copy for my mom, and she was so excited because, as she had been walking around Ireland and Scotland, she kept seeing all of these, she was curious about the tree of wisdom, and that's another very powerful symbol. And she was just, when I sent this to her, she was also curious about the wheel of the year. There were several symbols that she had, that she had seen. And guess what? Of course, I think the universe really sent me this, because I was just, it had a definition of the Celtic cross. And I'll read it real quick, but it was, although this ancient symbol was first found engraved on artifacts dating from 10,000 BC, it is said that St. Patrick made the first Celtic cross in the 5th century AD. According to legend, he was shown a sacred standing stone marked with a circle to represent the moon goddess. Patrick made the mark of a Latin cross through the circle and blessed the stone. Thus, the lunar power of the old religion absorbed into solar Christianity. The emblem, a kind of Celtic yin-yang symbol, symbolizes the harmonious and dynamic union of opposites. And guys, oh my God, I was like, St. Patrick, 5th century AD, he blessed a stone to represent the circle around is the blessing of the moon goddess, and then the Latin cross below it merges the two, sun and moon, yin and yang, the lunar power of the old religion into the solar power of Christianity. So it's, and if you study, Druid lore, and I just, after reading that, I was just, not only was I very moved, it gave me the answer that I was looking for. When I throw these cards, I have I get chills. I just get such a wonderful sense of purpose. And you better believe I do. I wear my cross. I wear my Celtic cross a lot. And I always tell my mom when I'm wearing it, I'll send her a text and be like, "Can you feel me, Mama?" Because she has, and it never fails. She's usually wearing hers too, the same day. But these were the 3 books. So, yep, sorry I hope it was okay. I know this is kind of, Ethony has said that, these questions are, it's very easygoing, if you want to skip a day or if you want to kind of modify a question. So I did kind of modify that one with one book that was not tarot, but it definitely plays into my card reading, and it's helped me so much. But those are my three decks, my three books for 2019. So I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you can join me tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be day 9, and we're going to continue with the 31 days of tarot. And the question tomorrow is a biggie. It's going to be, what was your most memorable tarot read of 2019? Oh gosh. If you guys watch my channel, you know which one. If you want to find out, tune in. And I thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you then. Bye.